Shabbat Shalawam. Shabbat Shalawam. Shabbat Shalawam. A lot of people might not know me. My name is Yawasat, officer, a soldier at the House of David. We're located at 191 Howard Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. We do Sabbath services week in, week out. We hit the streets week in, week out. Get our people back to the marriage. Um, just kind of wanted to get into bringing in the Sabbath service, bringing in the Shabbat here on live stream on Facebook. A couple trending topics, things that we see in the nation. Just kind of addressing a lot of stuff that we see go on. Because first off, as a disclaimer, Facebook is madness, nothing but madness. I scroll up and down my feed. I see you got people who straight up combat the Bible. People that straight up don't believe in the Bible. And you got Israelites in the truth, supposedly, who doesn't really believe in upholding the law, statutes, and commandments. We have OT only people who, Facebook is like a speaker box. Everybody has a voice and they can just chat off whatever they feel like and say whatever they feel like. And, you got people who have all the energy in the world for typing and, doing all sorts of madness, right? You got people making this, right? People got all kind of energy for, the type stuff, the type things, and don't really have the energy to go one-on-one, because the internet on a whole is just created like that for a bunch of weirdos. People can just bang a bunch of keys together, press a bunch of buttons, send it, and now just like that, you're nobody, you're somebody. But when it comes to actually having a building one-on-one, nobody doesn't really have time for it. Nobody wants to actually speak on it. And that's why I title this Shabbat Shalawam, Philippians chapter 1, verse 7. I'm going to get that really quick. This is a book of Philippians. Oh, I can't bear with me. This is the book of Philippians, chapter 1. I'll start with verse 4. It says, always in every prayer of mine for you all, making requests with joy for your fellowship in the gospel from the first day until now, being confident in this very thing, that he which had begun a good work in you will perform it until the day of Yahushua HaMashiach, even as it is meet for me to think this of you all, because I have you in my heart, and as much as both in bonds and in defense and confirmation of the gospel, ye are partakers of my grace. So, beloved brother Paul is saying, that we have to set ourselves to defending this gospel. Because somebody might come up to you and say, why is it you believe what you believe? Why is it that you can, and I'm particularly aiming this at an OT only, those Old Testament only, Tanakh only, Because if I'm gonna call a spade, these people are black Jewish people. What do I mean by that? The majority of these people who you see are Tanakh only or OT only, you'll see them have some kind of name like Baruch L, or you know, they don't deal with the Paleo Hebrew, the Lashon Kadash. They deal with modern Hebrew, and they observe tenets of Judaism instead of going by thus saith the Most High, law, statutes, commandments of this book. And that's who particularly I want to talk to today, because I would love to speak to an OT only person and have a discussion with them, because certain things just does not make sense if you ask them, right? Because I have very good questions to ask an OT only person, like why is it you believe how you believe? Because we, like I said, we set ourselves for the defense of the gospel, right? We continue on with this. Because Paul speaks about verse 17. It says, "But the other of love, knowing that I am set for the defense of the gospel." Right? And we are set for the defense of the gospel. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to defend the gospel, defend this faith in Mashiach Yahweh. Because this is the Sabbath. If you hold to the Friday, Saturday Sabbath like I do, the house of David does. This is the Most High's holy day. Let me get this in Genesis chapter 2 and verse 1. Verse 1 says, "Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the seventh day the Most High ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all he made, from all his work which he had made. And the Most High blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work which Yahweh created and made." So this is the Most High's Sabbath. This isn't this isn't something that we get to decide on. The Most High sanctified the seventh day and separated it. So, this is the Most High's holy day. This is when we see in the scriptures that the people would reason together on the Sabbath day. So let's reason together on the Sabbath day. Let us do this work, because a lot of things are going on. A lot of things are going on in this world, man. A whole lot's going on. Right? A whole lot's going on in this world. I just wanna let me see. As we we're going about our daily lives, and the Edomites, this kingdom that they're moving along with their plan. I just wanna get this article. Bear with me 1 second. Let me find this site. Alright, so now I'm gonna share my screen. My screen. All right. So now this says, this is Forbes.com. It says, this week in credit card news, testing new payment methods by Palm and with a chip implanted in hand. If we look at the date, I'm going to highlight the date really quick. It says April 21st, 2021. This is yesterday this article came out. It says, this week in credit card news, testing new payment methods by Palm and with a chip implanted in the hand. Right? And it goes on to say, it says, Austin has become Whole Foods Market customers in Texas to pay by Palm. Austin has become the first region outside the Seattle area where Whole Foods is offering the Palm recognition service. Amazon One as a payment option. The Arbor Trails Whole Foods store is the initial location in the Austin area to allow shoppers to pay with just a scan of their hand. Customer enrollment in the Amazon One service takes less than a minute, which involves linking credit/debit card info and creating palm signatures for one or both palms. A palm signature is created when a customer holds their palm over the Amazon One device. Let's get this back, Slovakia. Allowing the technology to evaluate multiple aspects of the palm. With no two palms alike, vision technology analyzing all aspects to select the most distinct identifiers on a palm to create a unique palm signature. Right? Says palm implant allows people to pay with chip. Those tired of taking out their wallets, let's get straight to the point. Says the British Polish company Walletmore has created a microchip that can be implanted inside a person's hand and used as one would tap a credit card for payment. The technology is only currently allowed to be sold in the European Union and the UK. The company said it's the first to sell these kind of chips to women customers, unleashing its biopolymer technology about the size of a small safety pin on the world last year. The cost is around $300. Right? I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for a second. So this is what we're seeing here right now. We're seeing the institution of these, the same thing that's spoken of in Revelation, right? Let me get that, and then I'll share my screen again. Right? Share my screen again because we're seeing the realization of what the prophet spoke about, right? This is from Revelation chapter 13, verse 16. It says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So what we're seeing here is we're seeing the beginning phases of this, where now this technology is available, and at $300 per person. This is in the trial run. Eventually, they're going to be giving this away to everyone because they're going to want this to be something that the public can widely consume so that everyone can get it. They want to make this something that's viable for mass production, for mass consumption. So everybody is going to start getting this. You see it listed in Forbes. Forbes is one of these magazines where the well-to-do, the business savvy, they get onto it. So if the business people are being aware of this now, they're gonna implement this within their businesses, and it's gonna eventually spread. What we're seeing is the beginning stages of Revelation 13, verse 16 to 17. We're seeing this. We're seeing it being reported. This chip that's gonna be inserted inside the palm of people's hands, right? But when you look online, all you see in within this Hebrew Israelite community, all we see is people having glorified, pardon my French, dick measurement contest. That's all that you see go on in Israel. All you see is people throwing around precepts, throwing around verses. I know this, I know that, but nobody wants to actually deal with the actual matters at hand. Let me get this verse, Salakia. I want to get one verse because right? Because I know this is in Sirach, right? Because again, we see this spirit within Israel. You know, they just want to have this combative spirit. I know the most precepts. I know the most breakdowns. This one doesn't make sense. This don't make sense. Well, you know that you're Israel. You know, and at the end of the day, your breakdowns ain't that important. What's more important is the laws, statutes, commandments, faith in who you call Christ. This is what's gonna get us out of here, right? Because all people doing online is we're throwing around scriptures and battling scriptures like this. This doesn't make sense. This is not profitable, right? I'm gonna show this one more time. Share my screen one more time. Share it one more time. This is a book of Sirach, Ecclesiasticus, chapter 37, verse 19. Says, "There is one that is wise and teacheth many, and yet is unprofitable to himself." Right? And that's what you see a lot of online in the Hebrew Israelite community. A whole lot of people teaching people a whole lot of stuff that they don't apply themselves. They're unprofitable to themselves. They're not practicing what it is they know, what it is that the Most High has revealed to them. And so it's not profitable to themselves. They're teaching other people, right? And we all guilty of that. We're all guilty of that. We're still within this flesh, this cage, this prison, if you will, where there's a constant battle between our spirit and our flesh. So it's only natural for us to want to be seen. But when all hell break loose and disaster happens and the internet's taken away, all these online prophets and preachers and bishops, it's over for you. It's over for you. All this time you didn't take heed to Zephaniah 2:1. You didn't take heed to Zephaniah 2:1. You decided, I'm gonna do things on my own, right? You didn't build up any kind of rapport. This is just a weird energy. It's a lot. This is just weird energy that goes on. Zephaniah 2:1 says, "Gather yourselves together." It doesn't say become some online deacon or online priest, or it says gather yourselves together. And at the end of the day, that's all that you have. Because when everything hits the fan, we all don't have it. You might have a good supply of a certain thing, but you're lacking in other areas. That's what the brotherhood is for. That's what the whole community is for. Like we waste it, right? We waste this good opportunity where, if you read my shirt, it actually says Saints of Beliefs. This is how big this truth is. That this truth is. You go to Europe, you see people on the corner. I seen brothers in England speaking the truth. I see brothers in Holland speaking the truth. I see brothers all over this world, from Brazil to Belize to America, to Canada, all over the world, to the four corners of the earth, everywhere that the Most High has sent the children of Israel. You see our people out there teaching and preaching this word, right? And what profit is that, right? What profit is that for you to know that you're Israel, but yet you don't want to associate and affiliate with your brothers, right? And that leads me to this whole energy that we have online, these individualite enemy, this individualite energy, right? People that don't want to affiliate with anybody else, right? And that's why you have this thing going on in the truth where you see a lot of sisters are scorned. Why is a lot of sisters scorned, right? Because they get with a nigga who got some kind of biblical name. You know, he identifies himself as an Israelite, but he don't want to get with anybody else, right? But because he don't want to get with anybody else, don't want to fellowship with anybody, what happens is there's no one there to hold him accountable. So now what happens? No one is there to hold him accountable. So he goes, he takes a woman, lays with the woman, and then he decides he don't want to be with her anymore. He puts the woman away. So now after he puts the woman away, who's there to hold him accountable for it? This is why the bodies are very important. If you go to a school or a camp or a fellowship with brothers, what happens is you now hold each other accountable. You now hold each other accountable. This whole way of nobody can't tell me nothing, this is a worldly concept, a worldly idea, right? The scriptures say, let me get this, the book of Leviticus, chapter 19, verse 17. It says, thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. So it says you're not supposed to hate your brother in your heart. You're supposed to in any wise rebuke thy neighbor. And we don't stress enough the any wise part. So if you see me going off, someone is supposed to be there to rebuke me. Someone is there supposed to be there to correct me, because this is how we grow in this truth. This is how we learn in this truth, through correction. And get this in Hebrew. The spirit's moving. Right? This is how we're supposed to learn in this truth, right? This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 10. It's 12. It says, for whom, this is the book of Hebrews, chapter 12 and verse 6. It says, for whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth and scourgeth every son whom he receiveth. Right? So correction is what's supposed to set us free. So correction is how we get there, how we get to this point where we're able to actually grow in this truth. We need correction in this truth. So you're not going to get correction by being an individual. Like, you're not going to get correction by saying, I don't want to affiliate with a school or a camp or a congregation or a body. You're not going to get correction now. You're going to be doing Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5. If you don't have anybody to correct you, to keep you in line, right? This is the book of Proverbs chapter 3 and verse 5. Because if you don't have that correction, someone to be there like, oh, that's off. Here's a scripture on why. Now who's going to correct you? And that's what happens with sisters. They get with these brothers. No one's there to correct them. No one's there to rebuke them. And the scriptures say in any wise you're supposed to rebuke your neighbor. So if this man lays with a woman who's an individual and he decides to put her away, what you're doing is another sin. You're adding sin to sin. You're letting the daughter of Israel play the whore. That's what you're doing. You're adding sin on top of your sin. The Mashiach said that we're not supposed to put our wives for any purpose save fornication. So unless that woman committed fornication against you, you're not supposed to put her away. If you lay with her, you stay with her. This is the point. This is the purpose of having a body, right? But if you don't have the body, who's there to correct you? You're correcting yourself, right? There's a book of Proverbs, chapter 3, and verse 5. It says, trust in the Lord with all thy heart and lean not onto thy own understanding. Right? And if you don't have anybody there to correct you, who's there? Who's going to be there to reprove you, to correct you in your error and judgment, right? Nobody. That's who. Nobody's going to be there to correct you in your error and judgment. And that's the importance of dealing with a body, dealing with an organized group, having elders over you. So I can bear me 1 second. And like I said, so I for the delay. Oh, brother, asking me right now. No, I can't make this up. I'm speaking about congregation and brotherhood, right? This is show it on screen if brothers could see it. This is one of the brothers from the school. Says, hey, Shalawam, everything all right? We missed you at the feast tonight. Because tonight we're doing the closeout for our Feast of Unleavened Bread. Even though tomorrow technically is the last day for unleavened bread, tonight and then tomorrow is the last day. They're doing the closeout tonight because tomorrow is the Sabbath. We're doing the Sabbath service. But this is the point that when you're not there, people are there to check up on you. No, I wanna show something because I think that Israel as a whole. Bear with me 1 second. Right? Because I think a big thing in Israel is we're playing games with the Most High, right? We're playing games with the words in the scripts. Why I say that, right? Because when we look at this is the book of Revelation, chapter 12 and verse 17, and this is why we can't play games with this. Is the fact that we awake to who we are, to our nationality, our God-given nationality. This troubles the enemy. This troubles the system. This is the biggest, because we've throughout the history in America, so-called black men have marched. We've protested. We've tried to join in their system. We've tried to create our own systems. We've tried many different things for liberation of the so-called black man within this country, and none of it works. But this right here is what's gonna work. This is what it is because the Most High, we return to the Most High, right? And this is grieving the enemies. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 12, verse 17. It says, and the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. So if you have this faith in the Most High, you keep the Most High's law, statutes, commandments, and the testimony of Hamashiach Yahushua, the dragon is going to make war with you. Now, if you're an individualite, how are you going to handle war with the dragon? You can't by yourself. You can disappear just like that. You could just fall off the map. Right? You could fall straight off the map. And then what happened? No one knows because you're busy being an individualite. And this is the point that we must congregate, right? And for you women, a lot of women that they have issues with the rules in the camp, and they don't understand that it's for your own good, for your own safety. If you come to our school and you're courting a brother, first off, there's no sense of disorder there. Another brother's not going to be trying to court you while you're talking to another brother within the congregation. There's no sense of chaos and disorder there. So, but the problem is that we're not we're not fully accepting the change. We accept partial change. We don't want to commit to the whole thing, and this is what we got to change as well. Like, I'm here online. I have right um we have a body, a congregation, and there's safety in that. People don't want to follow orders, be under anybody, and I can understand that. But the Most High, when we look in the scriptures, we see from Moses, the Most High had the whole nation under Moses, following orders. Moses established captains and officers, and people were under those people also. So you're gonna eventually have to be under somebody. It's for nation building, because people say they're Israelites, but they don't do anything about it. They don't want to join a congregation. They don't want to. They don't want to associate with other people. This is the warning. Gather yourselves together. Gather together, O nation not desired, before the day cometh, before the day passes the chafe, right? And by the time you decide, it's gonna be too late. Gonna have Esau at your back door. You ain't gonna know any Israelites near you, and you're by yourself, right? I'm gonna end off with one of the wisdom verses, right? I'm gonna end off with one more wisdom verse, because that was just the spirit tonight that it's been keeping me within the wisdom verses, and you know I'm just gonna end it off with this. Last time I'm gonna share my screen. This is from the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 4, verse 9. It says, "Two are better than one, because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him that is alone when he falleth, for he hath not another to help him up. Again, if two lie together, then they have heat. But how can one be warm alone? And if one prevail against him, two shall withstand him. And a threefold cord is not quickly broken." Right? So, you know, even within the scriptures, it shows the wisdom of this. Two is better than one. And it says, "In the threefold cord is not quickly broken." So, at the end of the day, we have to get this whole spirit of individualites out of us. These keyboard warriors, what you're going to do when the internet fails and you're no longer a prophet and no one knows you. No one knows who you are. Your face has never been to any feast day. No one has know what the fruits of your spirit are, and you're forced to remain an individualite. What's gonna happen then? With that, I'm gonna yell. My name is Yahweh Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shabbat Shalawam to the saints. Kwame Sha'ala.